that. Okay, so day 3 of 21-day quantum reset. I need a tech team. Maybe the cat. Okay, so I am going to start. We did this yesterday. We're not going to stay as long, but I am going to, and you get to decide how much blanket, but I am going to roll it. Just going to take my blanket and roll it up. And depending on your knees, you may need to augment with a little more height, but I'm just going to sit on it. I'm going to straddle. Good. And because I've rolled it, there's a roundness, right? So the idea is the pelvic floor, the tissue of the pelvic floor is also in a little bit of a dome shape like our respiratory diaphragm, right? Which attaches to the lower rim of the ribs and moves up into the ribs, up under the ribs and up under the heart, right? The heart sits on the diaphragm. So the diaphragm goes over the liver and stomach, right? And pelvic diaphragm moving up into the pelvis. As we inhale, respiratory diaphragm and pelvic diaphragm descend. And let's just take a few moments, maybe start with your fingers in that soft tissue just below your ribs and letting your inhale move into your fingers. Even just that little invitation, sides of body, just helps the diaphragm move a little more than we often do. See if you can also feel the impact through the fingers in maybe different places. One more breath like this. Maybe you might feel more presence of your body against the blanket. Good, maybe fingers in the front again. Just going to focus on pubic bone. So inhaling towards the pubic bone. And then inhaling towards the sitting bones. You can even just rock forward and back a little bit, little anterior, posterior, just to feel your sitting bones, and then inhaling towards sitting bones. Good, one more like this, inhaling towards tailbone. Base of the sacrum, just behind and slightly up from the anus. Releasing the hands. Just a couple more breaths into those 4 bony landmarks. Good, and a slow, deep inhale. And a slow, long exhale. Inhale, slow, 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 softening around the breath. And exhale, slow, slow, slow. Exhale becomes inhale. Ribs soften, belly softens, back softens, throat widens, jaw softens. And let's play with 3 breaths through the mouth, right? Just to open up the throat and the chest and the jaw a little bit more, nasal passages. Inhaling through mouth, nice and diffuse. And exhaling through mouth. Again, inhale becomes exhale. You can even give a little sound to the breath if that doesn't create too much tension. One more. Okay. Let's add a little bit of movement, same breath, inhaling through mouth, exhaling through mouth, but playing with the movement of the pelvis. So inhale, a little anterior tilt or extension, more pubic bone towards the blanket, and exhale, most more posterior tilt. And there might be a little more energy or direction around the breath. Can you make it diffuse? Inhale, mouth. Exhale, mouth. Invitation, opening, receiving. Exhale, releasing, emptying. Curling back in. Inhale. And exhale. Find a pacing that works for your body. 3 to 5 more. Feel it through your whole body. Doesn't have to be so sagittal. You can even play with a little lateral movement as you kind of move forward and back. Head tipping to one side, ribs moving a little to one side, just to move. Be a little more circular or spiral. Getting into the body and out of the head. Last one. And pause. Put one hand on heart, one hand on belly. Just feeling your breath from your hands, feeling your breath from your body. After your next exhale, let's inhale for an Om, soft Om. Forward. Sliding the blanket out, coming onto hands and knees. Just take a couple cat-cow, and I really like this. Right, letting the pelvis initiate, so sitting bones lift and lower. Lift and lower, right? Just feeling the range of motion as we just did that little bit of work on the base of the pelvis. Noticing the breath and letting the whole spine move. Right, lifting sitting bones, lifting eyes a little, lowering sitting bone, lowering the eyes and head. And lift. Feeling the breath move. Noticing where it's moving, notice where it feels thick or sticky or cranky or fluid. Good. Next time you move into extension, almost emphasize lifting the right sitting bone, maybe even letting the head look slightly to the right, just off center. And then come back to rounding. And again, as you extend, emphasize lifting the left sitting bone more, just a little more awareness. Again, looking slightly off center. And rounding. One more time, right sitting bone, eyes slightly to the right. This feeling happens in the pelvis along the right side of the spine or neck. Rounding through center. And then emphasizing a little more lift through the left sitting bone. Slight look off center with the eyes. Good, somewhat even through center. Right, you get to question where center is. And then next time I round, I'm going to pause for a moment and look under maybe the right arm towards either past the hip or towards the side of the room, depends on what's available. And then coming through more of a neutral extension. And then again, rounding and looking under that left arm, either past the hip or to the side of the room. And inhale, extension. One more time, each side. Rounding, let's look under right arm. See what feels accessible in that rotation. Extension through center. Again, what is center? And then moving, rounding, and looking under that left arm, past the hip to the side. Is there more range the second time? And then let's shift back. You can either shift off to the side or cross ankles. And let's come on to our backs. Good. I'm just going to turn. So if my words don't make sense, you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to start with knees bent, both feet on the floor, letting the back settle and get heavy on the floor, the ribs, the back of the neck. Good. Maybe just a little roll of the head to one side. Doesn't have to be the full range of motion. Maybe what's interesting is the weight of the head, or even the shape of the back of the head. Like we have little places that push out or move in towards the skull, right? Feeling the terrain of the back of the head, or the kind of percolating in the muscles of the neck and the shoulders. Side neck, top shoulders. Even the jaw may want to help. First side. Center. And second side, letting the arms be heavy and the ribs and the head and the cervical spine, right? The spine and the neck. Even the thoracic spine, ribs. And then slowly center. Good. I'm going to take my feet just to the outside of the hips. Maybe arms, either on the body or alongside the body. We're going to do, actually, I'm going to tip just a little bit. So I'm going to take that right leg and I'm going to tip it towards the left leg. And the pelvis is going to tip to the left a little bit. And then I'm going to let that right leg slide away from the pelvis. And I guess I should have said this. So sometimes you can stay on your sticky mat and let your foot slide on the floor if you're on a wood floor. If you're on carpet, you can do the same slide on the carpet, just a different resistance. I'm going to let the right leg slide away from the pelvis until it's straightened, right? So the knee and the toes are still turned towards the other leg, to the left leg. And then I'm going to turn the thigh, the knee, and the toes out towards the side of the room, to the right. A little assist from that left foot. I'm going to let the pelvis also turn so that I can bend that right knee, slide the knee up towards the hip, foot up towards the hip, and then rock onto the foot. Come back to where I started. Let's do that again. Right knee tips in towards the left knee, rocking the pelvis, and then sliding, right? So just shifting more weight onto the left side so that right leg can slide, and then externally rotate. Again, I'm going to let the pelvis tip to the right so that as I bend and slide the knee up and the foot up, there's just a little less load. And center. And in. Right leg into the left leg and straighten the leg. And externally rotate. A little weight shift to the right as you slide the knee and the foot up. And come back up to both feet on the ground, knees up. And then reverse. So I'm going to take that right knee out to the side. Again, pelvis can tip so the knee can go further out or towards the floor. Depends on your body, your range of motion. I'm going to slide that leg straight. Internally rotate it, so turning the knee and the thigh and the foot towards the left, shifting more weight onto the left hip to pull the knee up. Coming through center, tipping out to an external rotation, sliding out, internally rotate, and slide in. And lift, coming through center, knees are bent, both feet on the floor. One more time, tipping out. And extend in that external rotation, turning into internal rotation and sliding up. And I'm using the side to side to make it easier. Also adding in a little rotation in the pelvis. Let's just pause for a moment, extend both legs. Just notice how that felt in the body. Where is it sticky or catchy or limited in some way or easy in some way? Let's bend the knees. Good. Left leg tipping towards the right leg. So I'm shifting a little bit more to the right. So you can straighten that left leg. Just slide it down. And turn the toes and the knee and the thigh out. Shift more weight onto that left hip. And slide the foot in, the knee in. And coming up, knee up, foot flat on the floor. Same thing. Left knee falls to the right knee, the pelvis tips to the right. Straightening the leg. Turning the whole knee, foot out as you bend the knee. So you slide the knee up, slide the foot up. Lifting the knee towards the ceiling, stepping on the foot. One more like that. Knee falls into the other leg. Slowly straighten. Turn all the way out as your weight tips or falls to that hip. Slide the foot up. And I'm keeping the leg close to the floor because it's just a little easier on the groin, inner thigh. But feel it in your body. Let's reverse that. Left knee falls open. And sliding the leg down to straighten it. turning the thigh and the knee and the foot all the way in to bend the leg. You may not bend all the way, and lifting up, knee towards the ceiling, flat on the foot. External rotation, knee falls out, straightening in that external rotation. Internally rotate and slide up. Standing the knee up, last time, external rotation, knee falls out, straightening, rolling in, sliding up, and foot flat on the floor. Good, again, let's extend both legs. Just pause. Notice the weight of the legs, the weight of the hips, the back, the ribs, the neck, the head. And let's bend the knees again. Good. I'm just going to take feet wide and let the knees fall towards each other. They may or may not touch. Maybe even a sense of just feeling the width of the back of the pelvis and any sense of length or softening in those outer hips, outer thighs. One more breath here. And let's walk the feet towards each other, heels, toes, towards each other, and then let the knees open out. Feet together, knees open. Noticing right leg, left leg. Is there more weight on one hip? Is there more pull or resistance on one side? Does one knee feel higher or lower? Good. And you can either use the hands to bring the thighs up, or you can slide the legs down to straighten. And bending knees. Good. We touched a little bit on this yesterday. So I'm going to take the right arm up to the ceiling, just vertical over that right shoulder. Good. Reaching that arm up to the ceiling. Shoulder blade comes off the floor. Maybe even let the head roll to the left and the ribs. More weight on that left side. Right shoulder blade moving away from the floor, and then right shoulder blade back on the floor. And again, I'm going to reach that arm up to the ceiling, letting the head roll. And this time I'm going to reach across, right arm across towards, all depends on your body. You could find the shoulder, you could find the elbow, you could find the forearm. And then I'm going to take that right arm and bring it to the floor above the left arm and start to trace around the head. So the arm can reach away from the head, it can stay close to the head and reach more from your elbow. It all depends on what's happening in your shoulder, in your under shoulder, your armpit. How far can that arm reach without either pain or resistance or catching? Tracing that arm all the way around the head and out to the right. Let's take that left arm up to the ceiling, right? Left arm over the shoulder, and again, I'm going to reach it towards the ceiling. Let the head roll to the right. Feel that weight shift. of the ribs, more weight on the right side, and then let that arm come down into the shoulder blade flat on the floor or flattish. And then reaching that arm up and reaching across. Again, doesn't matter where you get, it's more the, can the ribs, what's happening in the ribs and the shoulder blade, in the neck, in the waist, what's available. And then hand to the floor above the arm. Again, there can be a longer reach, there can be more of a bend in the arm and reach from the elbow and less from the hand. As you trace all the way around the head and out to the side. Good, right arm up to the ceiling. Good, reaching that arm up for the ceiling reach. Feel the roll of the ribs and the head. Again, shoulder blade back to the floor. And shoulder blade moves closer to the spine, and then I'm going to move shoulder blade further away from the spine, up towards the fingers. And again, let's take the hand across. Right, you get to feel into the neck and head and upper spine and shoulder. And again, let's take that arm around the head, either reaching more from the hand or from the elbow. Hand can be on the floor, can be off the floor. Good, and arm out to the side. Left arm up to the ceiling. Reach. And then again, lower shoulder blade to the floor just to feel that movement. Shoulder blade closer to the spine, a little more attention to back body. Reach, and again, take that arm across. Where does it feel sticky? Throat, chest, back, waist. And then letting that arm trace around the head. And the arm can be off the floor completely. It can be even higher up towards the ceiling if that's what's needed. And pause. Good. Let's take the, well, let's see. How do we get there again? Okay, let's take feet together, knees apart. Baddha Konasana. And I'm going to take the left knee up to the ceiling, keeping the feet somewhat connected, and then let the left knee come towards the right knee. Okay, so I'm closing the book, left knee towards the right knee, just breathing into that left armpit, side ribs, outer waist, outer hip, outer thigh, and then let that knee lift again and open back away from the right knee, opening the book. Then right knee up and over to the left knee. Maybe they touch, maybe they don't, doesn't matter. And right shoulder heavy, maybe the head even turns to the right, but feeling that any softening, any sense of breath in the side body. Armpit, ribs, waist, outer thigh, outer hip, right knee up and out to the side. Left knee up and over to the right. Letting the breath find the places that it needs. Left knee up and out. Right knee up and over. Make it smaller if you need to. And listen to your breath. When we start to grip the breath or push the breath or force the breath, so begin back down a little bit. And back to center. And again, you can either lift the knees from the thighs, from the hands, or let the legs slide down. Let the arms slide down. Hands on body or off body. Feeling the belly rise and fall. Feeling the weight of the legs and the hips. Feeling the muscles along the spine start to soften away from the center line, away from the spine, where the spinous processes. Widening. Letting the breath almost settle and sink into the back body, into the heels and calves and thighs and hips, the back of the torso, and the back of the head. You soften, feel the breath almost soften that sense of boundary of the body. There's a diffuseness at those edges of the breath. Two more breaths. Falling into your breath. Toes, hands and feet, arms and legs, a little rolling and bending, and rolling onto your side. To sit. One hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Just feeling your body from your hands, feeling your hands from your body, feeling your breath from your body. And notice when the attention moves up and away, up and forward, up and out. See if you can just gently coax it back in and down into your breath, into your heart, to your spine, into your belly. And let's finish with one Om. Om.